Have you ever wondered how some people seem to speak English so naturally, as if it's part of their daily life? The truth is, it's not about studying for hours or memorizing long lists of grammar rules. It's about building small, powerful habits into your day that keep your English growing naturally. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to share my exact daily English routine, the one that helped me improve my speaking, listening, and confidence without feeling tired, stressed, or bored. If you've ever said, "I don't have time to practice English," or "I study a lot but I still can't speak fluently," then this routine is for you. Because I used to be just like that, studying English for years but still struggling to use it in real life. Then one day I changed my approach completely. Instead of forcing myself to study, I built English into my everyday life. And that's when everything changed. So let's begin. I'll walk you through what I do morning to night to keep improving my English naturally, even on busy days. Let's start with the morning. How you begin your day sets the tone for everything that follows. When I wake up, the first thing I do is simple, but it makes a big difference. I listen to English. I don't open grammar books or force myself to study vocabulary. Instead, I turn on something in English like a short podcast, a motivational video, or even a YouTube channel that speaks naturally. While I brush my teeth, make breakfast, or get ready, I listen. I don't worry about understanding every word. My goal is to get my brain used to hearing English sounds from the moment I wake up. This habit does two things. It helps my brain switch into English mode early. It builds my listening comprehension naturally. You might not realize it, but your brain is always learning, even when you're not consciously studying. The key is exposure. After listening for about 10 to 15 minutes, I do a very small but important exercise. I repeat a few sentences aloud. For example, if I hear someone say, "Today is a great day to start something new," I repeat it naturally just like they said it. This builds pronunciation, rhythm, and confidence. I call this part English echo practice. It's like training your mouth and ears at the same time. So, even before I sit down for work or study, I've already practiced English without opening a book or writing anything. After breakfast or once I'm fully awake, I spend 5 minutes doing something that completely changed how I think in English: self-talk. I take a few minutes to describe what I'm doing or what I plan to do. In English, it could be something simple like, "I'm going to make a cup of coffee." "I have to reply to some emails today." "I feel a little tired, but I'll focus." It doesn't matter if no one is listening. The goal is to train your brain to think in English automatically. First, it feels strange, but over time, this becomes natural. You stop translating from your native language and start speaking English directly from your thoughts. If you want, you can also record yourself speaking for 1 or 2 minutes every morning. Don't worry about making mistakes. When you listen back later, you'll notice how much you've improved over time. Now let's move to the afternoon, usually the time I get a few minutes to study a bit more deeply. But here's the secret. I don't do traditional studying. Instead, I focus on context learning. That means learning words and expressions from real-life materials, not from random word lists. For example, I watch a short English video, maybe a vlog or a TED Talk, and I choose a few phrases that sound natural and useful. I write them down, not just the word, but the full phrase. Let's say I hear, "I didn't see that coming. That really made my day. Let's wrap things up." Then I try to use those expressions in my own sentences. This helps me understand how English is actually spoken, not just textbook grammar, but real communication. Sometimes I text myself those phrases or keep them in a notes app. Throughout the day, I check them and try to use them in my self-talk or messages. Here's an example. If I learned "wrap things up," I might say to myself later, "Okay, time to wrap things up for today." That's how vocabulary sticks. It becomes part of your real life. Evening is when I do the most active practice. This is the time I use my phone to actually speak and interact in English. If I can find a speaking partner online, great. But most of the time I practice alone. And that's completely fine. Here's what I do. I choose a random topic, something simple like my favorite food, what I did today, or a movie I watched recently. Then I speak for 2 to 3 minutes without stopping. At first, I made a lot of mistakes, forgot words, and hesitated. But that's exactly the point. You need to allow yourself to make mistakes because that's how real fluency grows. If I feel stuck, I pause, look up the phrase, and continue. Sometimes I record myself and listen again, not to criticize, but to notice small improvements, better pronunciation, faster thinking, or clearer sentences. In the evening, I also like to spend 10 minutes watching something enjoyable in English. A short episode, a YouTube vlog, or even an interview with subtitles. This keeps the language connected to fun, not pressure. Because if you enjoy the process, you'll keep going. And consistency beats intensity every single time. Before bed, I do a little reflection in English. I ask myself simple questions like, what new words did I learn today? Did I speak English at any moment today? What could I improve tomorrow? Sometimes I write 1 or 2 sentences in a small notebook. Today I learned how to use the phrase look forward to. I listen to a podcast about habits. Writing helps me remember what I've learned, but I keep it short, just a few lines. Then, as I lie in bed, I often listen to slow English audio for 5 minutes. It relaxes my mind and reinforces the language before sleeping. The brain continues to process what you've learned during sleep, so even a few minutes of exposure before bed helps your memory and comprehension grow stronger. When I started following this routine, I didn't notice huge changes right away. But after a few weeks, something amazing happened. I realized that English was becoming a part of my thoughts. I wasn't translating every word anymore. I could listen and respond naturally. Even when I didn't know a word, I could explain my ideas using simple sentences, and people understood me. That's when I knew. Fluency isn't about perfection. It's about connection. By turning English into small daily habits, listening, speaking, thinking, reading, I made it part of my lifestyle. And that's what truly builds confidence and fluency. Now, let me give you some tips to help you build your own version of this routine. Tip 1: keep it short. You don't need hours every day. Even 15 minutes of focused, enjoyable English practice is powerful when done daily. Tip 2: mix passive and active learning. Listening to English is passive. Speaking or writing is active. You need both. Balance them so your brain gets input and output practice. Tip 3: choose content you enjoy. If you love music, use songs. If you like travel, watch travel vlogs. Learning is easier when you're genuinely interested. Tip 4: repeat and recycle. Don't just learn new words once. Reuse them. Say them in your self-talk. Write them in your notes, or record yourself using them. Tip 5: don't aim for perfection. You'll make mistakes. Everyone does. But remember, communication matters more than perfect grammar. Tip 6: stay consistent. It's better to do a little every day than a lot once in a while. Fluency is built by habits, not by pressure. When building your daily English routine, avoid these traps that can slow your progress. Mistake 1: studying too hard too fast. Trying to learn everything in one day leads to burnout. Go slow and steady. Mistake 2: focusing only on grammar. Grammar is useful, but communication is more important. Focus on understanding and speaking naturally. Mistake 3: avoiding mistakes. If you fear making mistakes, you'll never speak. The goal is not to be perfect, but to be confident. Mistake 4: being inconsistent. Skipping too many days breaks your momentum. Build small habits that you can maintain easily. Mistake 5. Comparing yourself to others. Everyone learns at a different speed. Focus on your own journey. Let's talk about why these small habits work so well. When you do something every day, even for a few minutes, it sends a signal to your brain. This is important. The brain then starts to make connections faster. Words become easier to remember. Sentences start forming naturally. That's why daily exposure is so powerful. You don't need to force yourself to study. You just need to show up every day. Imagine this. You listen for 10 minutes in the morning, speak for 5 minutes in the afternoon, and review for 5 minutes at night. That's only 20 minutes a day. But in 1 month, that's over 10 hours of English practice. In 6 months, that's 60 hours. In 1 year, that's 120 hours without feeling stressed. That's how real progress happens. After months of following this routine, I started noticing big changes. I could understand movies without subtitles. I could express my thoughts clearly in conversations. I stopped translating. And most importantly, I felt confident. Confidence doesn't come from knowing every rule. It comes from using English every day in small, natural ways. So, if you've been struggling to stay consistent, remember, you don't need to study for hours. You just need a simple routine that fits your life. Wake up with English, think in English, speak a little, listen a lot, and end your day with reflection. This routine doesn't just build fluency, it makes English part of who you are. So that's my English daily routine, the one that truly changed how I learn and use the language. If you want to grow your English naturally and confidently, try building a similar routine. Start small, stay consistent, and make it fun. I hope you found this guide helpful. If you did, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more practical tips on how to speak English confidently and fluently. Thanks for watching, and remember, the best time to start your English routine is today.